Well now, gather round, friends and neighbors. It's Tucker again, sitting here in the quiet of these Appalachian hills. The night's cool and the stars are hanging low and bright, the way they do after a clear day. You can hear the crickets working steady, and if you listen close, maybe a whip-poor-will calling from the ridge. Nights like this always remind me of the old stories my folks used to tell. And tonight I've got one for you. This is the tale of a little boy named Samuel, who grew up along Laurel Holler Road. That road bends and twists so many times you could get dizzy just thinking about it. Folks always said it had a mind of its own. And down in that holler there was a mystery older than most could remember. The lantern that never went out. Now Samuel was one of those young'uns with a curious streak a mile wide. His family was poor but proud. His daddy worked down in the coal mines, coming home tired and black with dust, and his mama kept the cabin warm with soup beans and cornbread stretched as far as she could. They didn't have much in the way of store-bought luxuries, but they were rich in songs, stories, and faith. His granddaddy especially loved to tell tales. He'd sit in that squeaky rocker, pipe smoking, and talk about the old days. He told Samuel about panthers once screaming in the hills, about the night sky being so dark you could see every star God ever made, and about strange lights that wandered Laurel Holler Road when the fog rolled in thick. Folks called it the lantern. Some swore it was swamp gas, though truth be told, there ain't much swamp in these hills. Others claimed it was the restless spirit of a miner who never made it home. And if you lived in Appalachia long enough, you learned never to laugh off such stories. These mountains keep secrets, and sometimes they whisper 'em to those willing to listen. Now, ghost lights ain't just a Laurel Holler thing. Up in Brown Mountain, North Carolina, people talk about strange lights floating across the ridges, dancing in the air. Over in Kentucky, some swear to see lanterns moving along old railroad tracks where wrecks happened. Folks call them will-o'-the-wisps in some places. Little trickster lights that lead travelers astray. But around here, most folks believe the lantern on Laurel Holler was a miner's soul, carrying on his eternal walk home. Well, Samuel couldn't stand not knowing. Curiosity gnawed at him like a mouse at a corn sack. So one cool autumn night, when the moon was only a sliver hanging in the sky, Samuel decided he'd find the truth. He grabbed his little kerosene lantern, called for his old hound dog Buckshot, and slipped out the door while his mama was humming Amazing Grace at the sink. The night air smelled of hickory smoke and fallen leaves. Gravel crunched under Samuel's boots, and Buckshot's paws padded soft beside him. Every sound was sharp, the rustle of squirrels, the call of an owl. Even the creek nearby gurgled like it had something to say. He walked until he reached that old sycamore tree. It leaned across the bend like it was listening in on secrets. That's where the stories always said the lantern showed itself, and sure enough, right as the fog began to creep in, Samuel saw it. A warm golden light, swinging slow and steady like somebody was walking ahead with it. But there weren't no footsteps, no shadow, no hand holding it. Just that glow. Buckshot gave a low growl, but Samuel patted his head and whispered, "Easy now." His heart pounded, but he couldn't help himself. He stepped forward, following the light. The lantern led him deeper into the hollow, first past a stone wall, crumbled and covered in moss. the kind that made you wonder what house once stood there and what family had called it home. Then past a spring trickling out of the rocks, the water so cold and clean it looked like it could wash the world new. Samuel thought about how many miners and travelers had probably drunk from that same spring. Maybe even the man whose lantern he followed. They went deeper still, past a stand of hemlocks, their branches low and heavy, blocking the starlight. Samuel felt a chill, though the night wasn't that cold. And then finally the lantern stopped. It hovered over a little rise where a wooden cross stood, weathered and gray. Samuel lifted his own lantern, and in the dim light he read the carving. To John Miller, who lost his way, coming home from the mine, 1902. Samuel knew that name. His granddaddy had spoken it before, telling about a miner who never made it home one stormy night. Folks searched for him high and low, but the mountain held on tight. Some said he still wandered, lantern in hand, looking for the road back. Samuel stood there a long time, his little lantern flickering in the fog. Finally he whispered, "Mr. Miller, you can rest easy now. You're remembered." The ghostly light seemed to shimmer brighter, then faded slowly, leaving only the soft glow of Samuel's own lantern. He and Buckshot made their way home, the night somehow gentler now. The crickets began to sing again, and the owl hooted from the ridge. When Samuel crawled into bed and told his mama what he'd seen, she just smiled and brushed back his hair. And she said, "Some things in these mountains ain't meant to scare us, son. They're just reminders that we're never truly gone, long as somebody remembers our name." Then on Samuel never feared the Laurel Holler road. Whenever he passed that sycamore tree, he tipped his cap and said, "Evening, Mr. Miller." And he always felt like he had company on the long road home. So if you're ever wandering these old hills on a foggy night and you see a lantern swinging where no hand should be, don't be afraid. It might just be an old miner guiding you safe along your way. That's all for tonight, friends. Y'all rest easy and let the night sounds carry you off to sleep. And may the good Lord bless yous all till the morning light.